two coal projects, big coal projects running in the country now. One is Bharat Bangladesh Maitri power plant. We call it Rampal, and the other is at Paira. These two are, each of them are adding very urgent power to western side of Bangladesh. And even though prices have gone up, but coal prices haven't gone up to that extent. It is again softening now, coal prices. And we are also about to, maybe in a year's time, 2 years' time, nuclear reactor, first nuclear reactor.
Rupur power plant.
So basically, we have been diversifying to start with, even before the war, because we knew that we can't put our eggs in one basket. But then, Ukraine war has not only impacted energy, but also food supply, fertilizer, and given the global inflation, it has been imported in all countries. It has gone as a shock into the system of other countries. And so once import becomes expensive, you have to spend more money, more dollar to import the same quantity. Now, your currency is also depreciating. So it's a double jeopardy. You need to spend more dollar, and then each dollar is pricier now. So that impacted the domestic economy by raising inflation, which is a common challenge around the world. So inflation has been one. We have been able to keep it below double digit, but Europe has crossed, Britain has crossed double digit inflation. And trying to restrict our import and increase our export by restricting import, what I say, to minimize import of non-essentials. And promoting export means we are trying to give incentives to export and also send out more Bangladeshis to get more remittances.
Yes.
So you spend less and you try to earn more and try to rebalance, which is a part of globally Bangladesh economy and also in the sector that I deal with. But it has been very unfair, by this war in Ukraine. It's unfair to the Ukrainians, but it's also unfair to the developing world. If there is a conflict in one place, the whole world should not play for the conflict. What has Africa, Horn of Africa, got to do with the conflict in Ukraine? They don't have access to food. There is a threat of famine. What would a villager in Bangladesh would think of those finer values that are at stake in Ukraine? Because these people, it's hard their stomach. So this is a very unbalanced approach to international conflict, and I wish it comes to an end. I wish we go back to normal world. This is not a normal world.
Yes, surely, sir. This is a big thing, and I said it is inequitable also because a country like Bangladesh has nothing to do with the Russia-Ukraine war. And coming back to the power and energy issues, sir, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina also said in recently a few months back that the consumer should be ready to pay what it takes to produce energy. So basically, she was hinting at reducing the subsidy. Do you think Bangladesh will be able to do away with subsidy in petroleum products or planning to do it? And how soon or how long could it take? Any policy level thinking on this, sir?
I wouldn't give it a timeline, but there are certain compulsion from our government side. You can't fund subsidy in an unlimited way. So you have to restrict. What we are doing now is still providing subsidy, but we're trying to bring it down. So as you've seen, we have to adjust price. Still, the price at which we sell electricity is much higher than the cost of production, about 2-3 taka, depending on how the fuel prices
So
shift.
cost of production of electricity is even now higher than what you charge the consumer.
So there is a gap, and as you consume more, then you multiply that gap with larger number and it grows. So we are trying to adjust and to bring it closer to the cost of production. And we are also trying to see how we can do more with less, because this is a challenge we'll keep facing in the future also. So let's say energy efficiency, energy conservation, these are being actively pursued. In fact, Prime Minister Hasina has been talking about energy responsibility, which means that even if you can afford, don't waste energy. Like say in agriculture, if we uh, plan properly, we can do with 1/3 less of irrigation. So that irrigation energy, that water would save. Similarly, in factories, if we plan to reduce energy input per unit of product, it can be reduced. So those who are in industry, those who have captive power plant, as you say, they are going for cogeneration, that you produce electricity, then you produce heat that goes into boiler, then you produce some heat that goes into refrigeration. But try to do more with less. And we had bit of ambivalence earlier how much we can go for renewables. But now, given this realization that fuel would become scarce in future, at any point in time, you never know. So we're trying to promote solar within the confines of Bangladesh land availability. So we're promoting what is called rooftop solar for industries, with something called net metering.
Yes.
We are trying to see some floating solar panel. We don't have much of wind power, and we import, as you know, electricity from India. It started about a decade back. It's been ramped up, and now we import about 1700 megawatt of power from India.
In the Godda power plant,
Yes,
which has
yes,
started
yes,
supplying.
yes.
So 1160 plus whatever is coming from Godda power plant of the Adanis.
Together, because all of them, don't always produce the full capacity. So roughly, if you take today, maybe it may be about 1800 megawatt, which is very crucial for the electricity availability of Bangladesh. And more so, these imports are going to help western and northern Bangladesh on the other side of Ganges, because most of the power plants are located on the eastern side, because gas was available from domestic supply, and imported gas also, they come through Cox's Bazar side. So eastern side of Ganges, it has more stable supply of fuel and electricity. So those import will help not only to increase our energy supply, but also promote solve some of the problems in the western side of Bangladesh.
Well, that's very important steps that Bangladesh has taken. One recently there has been a deal that Bangladesh has struck with IMF for getting over $4 billion as loan or support for its various projects. It is said in some quarters that it was under kind of part of the conditionality of the IMF that the Bangladesh government has to align its prices with the market, the energy prices with the market. Is it so, sir?
But let me make one point clear that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina would always has brought the country this far. So she will never compromise with the inherent benefit of this country, inherent growth of this country. Whatever, adjustment, as I said, we have to reduce budget deficit and we have to reduce subsidy. So the adjustments are needed, In fact, the adjustment started slightly before IMF discussion was taking place. So it's not that we are from our own internal conditions, these price adjustments are taking place. Those reform program which we believe and which will help Bangladesh, those are the ones we are implementing. So it's not that things have been imposed upon us and we are complying with them without really having a heart in it. So no, that's not true.
One important area, sir, where I want to draw your attention is about the energy cooperation between India and Bangladesh. I believe it is one of the very important components in which the relationship between the two countries is growing, and there have been many things that have been recently introduced. For example, that Maitri pipeline, which will supply high-speed diesel to Bangladesh from India, which will reduce the cost of transportation. It would be a kind of contributing to the energy security of Bangladesh, and for both the countries, it's a good proposition. And there is also a talk about the power grid, regional power grid development between the two countries. So what are the areas of cooperation in energy sector that India and Bangladesh are looking at, and how do you see the future of the cooperation, sir?
If you go to examine regional cooperation, then India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan should cooperate to develop a system where we can export and import both ways energy. Again, particularly in this case, power. There are discussions and there are improvements, some progress made in these cooperation between these four countries. So this is a field to be explored. As you know, we import electricity both on the western side of Bangladesh and in the eastern side of Bangladesh from Tripura. So if some point in time we have excess electricity, we can also pass it to India. You can always, never know how the demand supply will work out. So mutual interdependence, as you said, the pipeline that will bring diesel from Numaligarh, win-win, because Numaligarh will now get a customer, assured customer in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh will get an assured supplier from Numaligarh. So these are the solutions which are beneficial to both countries. Those are the ones we should try to address and carry forward.
Is there any new area of cooperation that is coming up in the field of, for example, solar energy, maybe in other fields where some new project is being considered between as an area of cooperation between India and Bangladesh?
India is ahead of many other countries in terms of research and development. So we can gain if we can get some access from R&D in India. For example, some of the new technologies, let's say hydrogen technology, carbon capture storage technology, these are frontier technologies, and India would have access to them much ahead of Bangladesh.
Yes.
So if you can participate in that process of exploring frontier technology, that will be very helpful for us. And also small problem solving here and there, like we saw, I had been to the conference in Chennai recently, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed, and he then opened up, showcased some of the advances India has made. For example, in terms of electric vehicles, they also included tri-wheeler. So in Bangladesh also we have about 2 to 3 million tri-wheelers, electric vehicles. We are trying to upgrade them and improve them. So I'm sure there are areas where we can both cooperate, and we should be able to learn from advancement made in India. There were showcased, some solar cooking system.
Yes.
So I could not quite find out what were the details, but we have been trying to promote solar cooking system here also. And interestingly, we have in 2 pilot cases for last 2 years, there has been a hybrid cooking system from solar and grid. When there is enough solar power, you don't take as much power from the grid. So it's a hybrid, and these are very common people. They've been using it for last 2 years, very happy.
Yes.
So we're trying to scale up that so that there are solar panels on top of the roof, no battery. Battery is expensive. And if you can replicate this thing, then we'll be not only be using more solar energy, but will be more independent also in energy source. And domestic use of fuel would improve, quality, environment would improve, and they are cost effective also. So we are trying to scale it up. I'm sure there are instances and projects in India also in this. So those can be. One thing that we did here in these 2 projects, there were, when you don't need any energy, it's being stored as a heat in water. Heat up the water so that, and I was in traveling India maybe 15 years back, and I'd been, I think, either Jaipur or Udaipur, some place. I'd been to a mandir up, and they were doing their cooking through solar steam operation. So if you don't fry, then you can do most of the things with steaming. So this big, the diners that you have in mandir free, I ate there also. Very good food. You don't have to fry them always. But these hybrid ones, you can fry also. There is no problem in frying. So these are small projects, but if they can replicate it, they will make big difference. So research and development is an area where you should look for more cooperation.
Thank you so much, sir, for talking to Doordarshan and All India Radio about the energy and power scenario in Bangladesh, how it is dealing with it, and areas of cooperation, the current one and the future possibilities with India. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Assam, a rich fertile land fed by the waters of the mighty Brahmaputra. Home of the Ahoms and the gateway to the rest of the northeastern states. Just a few hours drive from Guwahati, and I'm in the home of the legendary one-horned rhinoceros. Spread over 1,000 square kilometers, Kaziranga National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The grasslands and lake of Kaziranga are safely confined by the Brahmaputra River and the Karbi Anglong Hills. One of the most visited national parks in India, tourism is high in the western and central ranges. But today I'm visiting the eastern side of the park, which is the largest wetland in Kaziranga, with over 96 species of wetland birds, one of the highest in any reserve in India.
You can see all those are wild buffaloes.
Amazing. So Kaziranga is the most popular
Yes.
destination for wildlife enthusiasts, visitors, tourists, not only from India but from all over the world. So what is so unique? What makes Kaziranga so unique?
Kaziranga is basically unique riverine ecosystems. Kaziranga is basically famous for big fives: rhino, tiger, elephant, Asiatic buffaloes, and swamp deers. Apart from that, we get plenty of migratory birds. We are having around 90 plus wetlands. It's basically a unique and balanced ecosystems where you can see the wetland, grassland, woodland.
And you have the diversity of species here also,
Yes,
which is so amazing.
really. So, for the wildlife enthusiasts, if somebody interested in rhinos or elephant or swamp deer or tiger or birds, they're having, it's like a menus. So whichever they want, they can choose.
It's mind-boggling. You can travel for miles.
Yes.
And Kaziranga is huge. So where are we right now? What do you call this area?
Kaziranga National Park, there are 8 ranges. If you say it's a tiger reserve, there are totally 10 ranges. We are presently in Agaratuli range. It's the eastern range of the Eastern Assam Wildlife Divisions. And this range basically known for migratory birds
Okay.
and good sighting of tigers. And again, our main VIP species, rhino.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a Fort Knox of animal diversity.
True,
you know.
true.
The diversity here is amazing.
Sohala is basically a unique wetland and the most favorite wetland of Assamese societies. So we used to get a good number of birders.
This is a paradise for birders.
Yes, yes. This is one of the biggest wetland of Kaziranga. It's around 600 hectare. And this eastern range and Borapa range in Kaziranga is not promoted in ecotourism wise in the past. Kaziranga means it's known for only the central range and western range. But most of the tourists, they are unaware about this Agaratuli range.
The amount of birds that are here at the moment and this unique wetland is so vibrant and it is flushed every year with floods from the Brahmaputra.
For Kaziranga, flood is must. So we are having 92 permanent wetlands, more than 200 seasonal wetlands. All these wetlands are get cleaned and recharged by the Brahmaputra only. Because the Karbi